movie.
Oh, with
And
Burt
I thought,
Lancaster.
yes, so many stars, even Jimmy Stewart, and it was his one movie where he wore clown makeup through the entire film. You never saw him without the makeup, which is pretty cool.
Is that right?
But
Wow.
I loved that film as a kid, and I remember thinking when I was watching it last year, wow, I'd love to write a book about the circus, but I thought, my team might not go for it. You know, it's kind of a niche topic, and then about a week later, I was speaking with my editor on the phone, and she said, okay, we have a story idea. The team was talking about it, and we said, we think Mabel Ringling has a story to tell, and we want you to write it. And my jaw about dropped, about hit the floor. And I said, all right, let's pack up the family who are my research partners, and let's go to Florida and do some on-site research.
Nice. So give us the historical part first. Who is Mabel?
Oh, who was Mabel?
Yeah.
I have to say, she's one of the favorite characters I've ever written. And what's really cool about her is when you're doing character development and character design, you have to kind of slip in some flaws, to make those characters interesting. Some of our most beloved characters in literature have these kind of little flaws. What was interesting about Mabel is when I'm reading and researching what we have on her and her life, I could not find anything negative about her. And I remember thinking, okay, I'm writing my first opportunity to write semi-biographical fiction, and she was so beloved. She was always known to have this kind of uncommon poise about her and wisdom and this generosity. She truly loved the communities in which she lived. She was a little bit quiet about the circus life, and she left that to John and her husband and his family, but she preferred to really foster these rich relationships with her family and friends behind the scenes. So in a world where we didn't have social media, of course, in the 1920s,
Right.
she could have been a fabulous celebrity, but she opted not to do that.
Oh,
She
wow.
opted to profile. Yeah, can you believe that? The circus queen had a low profile, which to me was just really incredible.
What I'm wondering though is from a writer's perspective, how do you? Because I'm thinking, okay, you have a real person here that you're creating. You have character development about a real person. So, how did you handle that? That sounds like something you have to be very. It's got to have a fragile element to it. Am I right?
Fragile is a perfect word. I wish I could have thought of that myself, but. Yes, I will be authentic with you and your listeners and say I was terrified. I really was. Because I wanted to honor who Mabel was. I wanted to honor the Burton and the Ringling families. And in some of my on-site research at the Cottazon Mansion, which is at the Ringling Museum there in Sarasota, I was working with a curator, Ron McCarty, and he was incredibly helpful. And after a couple of days of research, I was sitting in his office with him, and I said, I'm going to level with you. I'm a little nervous to write this because I want to honor her. And he said, just have fun with it. That's what she would want. And I felt this weight kind of off me. It almost felt like getting a blessing from her.
Oh, wow.
So we did pour over all of this historical detail, but I want to add some element of fun to the fiction side. So when you have these scenes between Mabel and John, what was their marriage like? What was their wit and their conversation like? How did they talk and treat each other behind the scenes? I wanted to fictionalize that with what we had, but we put it in the book to have fun with it.
And she had a gal pal in the book too.
Yes, correct. And the gal pal in the book, we have a couple of characters who are just purely fictional. So Sally is a purely fictional character, as well as Rosamond, who's our other main character in the book. So we have this mishmash, almost a menagerie like the circus was. Historical characters along with the fictional characters. So we tried to weave those into the
Okay,
story.
so Rosamond is a fictional character. I wasn't sure.
Yes, Rosamond is a purely fictional character from my imagination. And, I have to say I wanted to write a character who was a bareback rider because I live right around Louisville, Kentucky. So that is Operation Central for horse country, right? The Kentucky Derby. And I wanted to explore and kind of research that life of what would it be like working with horses and having this kind of beloved character in Ingenue, the horse, and put Rosamond in that type of world. I wanted to explore that a little.
Do you know, a lot of times when an author writes about historical fiction, or even just pure fiction, an interviewer like Robin and myself might ask, we noticed that the city was another character in itself, like the city is a third character or a fourth character. In your book, it's the era that becomes the extra character, the city-like character, isn't it? There's something about that era that is actually the character.
Yes, a couple of things I can tell you about that. Yes, we wanted to make the Jazz Age almost a character in and of itself. And my editor is so brilliant, but I had to dial back on the fashion a little bit. I'm talking to the ladies out there right now because the 20s fashion was just so interesting, and I kept expanding on that in the book. So we had to dial back on the fashion a little bit. But yes, I love that entire era, that Gatsby kind of party, the 1920s lawn party. And we even have this opening at the Cottazon Mansion, which when my husband and I were there on the outdoor ballroom, which all of that is authentic to the book, on the outdoor ballroom, it was almost like we could feel the history moving around us. It was like we could feel the parties that had been there, and we wanted that to be a character in the book.
Did you have to refrain from being sucked into the glitz of the glitz of the era, plus also the glitz of the circus? I mean, did you yourself find what do they always say? It looks glamorous, but then when you're in it, it's not really. Did you have to somehow govern yourself regarding that temptation?
Yes, and when you think about the circus, there are so many angles that you could take with this book. There's almost too much content, and so we had to be really choosy about what is our focus going to be. There could always be the treatment of animals and the treatment of staff and all of that, and I do appreciate that in my research on the Ringling family in particular, they were known to be a very ethical show. They had Pinkerton detectives who would work on the midway to ensure that there were no pickpockets. They were very detailed about that. They were focused on the ethical treatment of animals. And yes, you could have these one-off trainers or one-off workers associated with the circus who didn't always do everything ethically. But for the most part, they were focused on a family show. And so that's how we wrote the book, almost like that movie, The Greatest Show on Earth.
Wow.
We focused on the family, the performance, the entertainer aspect, rather than the darker places, which could be animal abuse or the sideshow. We opted to focus on those more positive aspects that the Ringling family really championed.
We've got to take a little break. Kristy, Cambron, you are giving us an exciting interview. The book is called The Ringmaster's Wife. It's an historical novel set in the Roaring '20s from Mabel Ringling's perspective as the wife of John Ringling from the Ringling Brothers in Barnum and Bailey Circus. So let's take a little break. Kristy, we'll be right back with you after the weather and a few commercial announcements, and we'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. There is a tropical storm running at the coast due to Colin. Some wind and rain from Tropical Storm Colin today. Flooding and isolated tornadoes are possible as well, highs in the 80s. Some wind and heavy rain from Tropical Storm Colin this evening, then mostly cloudy late tonight with a shower or thunderstorm, low 73 to 77. Tuesday will be cloudy with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm, high 87 to 91. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lunder.
Central Florida Eye Institute is the area's leader in laser vision correction. From high-definition refraction surgery and LASIK vision correction to custom cataract, glaucoma, and diabetic treatment, you can count on Dr. Crowley and his effective, friendly staff to provide you with the quality care you deserve. Call 352-237-8400 for an appointment or more information. That number again is 352-237-8400. Looking forward to service your vision needs.
You can't put it off any longer. It's time to replace your home's AC system.
The answer is ACEsolvesItAll.com and an exceptionally efficient AC system. Let the pros at ACE show you how you can save on energy monthly and give your family added comfort. The great thing is that ACEsolvesItAll.com is on call 7 to 7, 7 days a week at no extra charge.
For a limited time, mention WOCA and get a special discount.
Call 877-765-4ACE or ACEsolvesItAll.com.
Good credits, bad credits. It's none of our business because we're not an auto dealer. We're not a bank. We're not your mother. We're OcalaForSale.com. Marion County's marketplace for cars, trucks, and SUVs. We've got thousands of sellers standing by to take your call. No middleman. But hurry, don't walk, don't run. Just sit down and log on to OcalaForSale.com. Prices and inventory change daily. Offer does not include dealer upcharge. Undercutting, rust-proofing, factory surcharge, or delivery fee. See website for details.
Hi, I'm Leah Caruso with Strive Rehabilitation, inviting you to join me Thursday at 11 a.m. for Health Matters. Ocala Health and Strive have teamed up to bring you the latest information on good health services available to you right here at home. This vital information will help you make informed decisions about your health. So don't forget to join me here at 11 a.m. Thursday. It's news you can use from Ocala Health, Strive, and your friends here at WOCA.
Putting the local back into radio. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. WOCA News. Variety. Information. Now. Keep your arms and legs on the inside at all times.
WOCA. AM 1370. 96.3. 96.3. We are The Source. WOCA. News, talk, sports, and more.
All right, 12 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. If you ever hear a story about somebody's life and they have... they kind of left everything behind and they did the most daring thing, and you think to yourself, oh my gosh, that was so risky, but it all worked out so nicely for them. You always say to yourself, gosh, maybe I would do that, right?
Yeah, right.
And if you remove Mabel Ringling from the whole circus scene, I think that there's something about her spirit or her personality that probably she would have been that lady regardless of whether she had anything to do with the circus. Wherever she chose to do, it was going to be that kind of a thing.
Exactly.
And I was just looking at Kristy's. It looks like Kristy Cambron is kind of like the same type of personality. Am I right, Kristy? Are you the person who said, you know what, I could just forget all this stuff that I was told I should do and write my own story and build my own road?
I admit, yes. The answer is yes. I spent 15 years in corporate America and was quite happy with my career, had a great company, a great work family. I could have been happy for the next 40 or so years in that role. But in 2014, my husband and I really felt this call for me to walk away. And so I did. I walked away, and we said we're going to pursue this publishing dream because it's really etched on my heart. And so we're getting ready to publish our fourth book, which will come out next March. And so it's just a blessing that I have inspirational characters like real life Mabel, who kind of paved the way. You know, she was a trailblazer, leaving home in her teens, 15, 16 years old, and just leaving everything behind.
Yeah. And so that's what I kind of, as an outsider looking in, I see that as the allure and not the circus. I mean, for you, the allure was this very strong person. And the fact that she happens to be a woman probably makes it more relatable and more of an inspiration for you personally.
It absolutely does. And the 20s was that kind of pivotal time post-war when society was changing. So many things in industry and science and medicine were changing. And just the nature of how women viewed themselves and their own lives was dramatically changed. And again, I think that Mabel was on the forefront of that. She already had that personality of stepping out in the late 1890s. So then you think that you kind of pivot to the 20s, and she had this mindset of this modern woman. Again, such wisdom beyond her years, poise and grace about her. But I love that she was brave. That inspired me personally, because the road of risk, the road of stepping out, it's not an easy one to walk every day. And she inspired me even just in the direction that I wanted to take the book. It really blessed my heart just to learn who she was.
I love that.
And in your acknowledgement, she wrote this really beautiful and touching paragraph to your 3 children, and you just summed up the magic of childhood so eloquently.
That's one thing. Anytime I look in my children's eyes, it really just kind of comes through that I want them to understand that sometimes risk is necessary. I don't want them to get to the end of their life and have regrets and think, what if? You know, what if I would have stepped out? What if I would have chased that circus dream or whatever it has? I want them to start early in childhood and have these good memories, have this nostalgia, kind of like many of us do about the circus or about visiting vacation sites as a child. You know, we have those memories that are kind of locked in our heart, and they turn us into who we are. I want my children to learn that lesson early, that risk is necessary sometimes.
Do you know what I've often wondered about show business in general back in those days? I mean, am I right about this? There was no real amplifiers, right? So when they had to be loud enough for a whole audience, I mean, did they, like you see in the pictures, were they literally using megaphones? And I'm guessing that's why horns as musical instruments were probably so popular, because they could be heard. Can you imagine a bunch of guys with acoustic guitars? No, you wouldn't hear them. You wouldn't hear them, right? And there were no electric guitars back then, right?
I will tell you that I am not musical myself, so any music questions are just going to get cut off right here.
But I mean, just as far as how the show got put on, whether it was vaudeville or a circus. I mean, in order for the audience to be able to hear what was going on, the ringmaster had to yell, the actors had to yell, and I'm only bringing up the music because how else would you hear it if it wasn't horns?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the things that I loved in the research, yes, you're talking about the ringmaster and how loud he had to be, and then we have the circus band, and many of these performers were literally a jack of all trades. You know, you think about the Ringling Brothers themselves. You think about Charles Ringling, known as Mr. Charlie, and very beloved in the circus. He always traveled, but he played with the circus band at least once a year. And I put that into the story. John Ringling was very charismatic on stage, and he started out in the circus as a clown, if you can believe that. He was kind of known to be a little bit more on the serious side later in life, but he started out as a clown, and he was quite gifted.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the performers, they not only musicians, not only performers, but they were up with the animals, taking care of the animals, unloading the trains. They were right out there working from sun up to sundown and sometimes longer.
And the artwork, too, on the posters that had to be hand-delivered to the towns, letting them know that the circus was coming, that took quite a talent, too.
Ahead of time, yes. John Ringling was known as this master marketer, and so he would travel ahead of the circus, and he would go into the towns, and he would know literally to the town and to the day that the different factories and the different stores were going to have their payment to the workers. So he would know, oh, they're going to get paid on that Friday, we're going to that town, and they would roll into town ahead of time, so that by the time the circus got there, everyone had just gotten paid, so everyone would go to the circus. I mean, he was just brilliant at that, at the marketing strategy.
So in an era, I mean, in the 1920s, I mean, women weren't necessarily treated as fairly as they are today. And so that must have played a role also. Did the other... I mean, did Mabel get the respect that she would have maybe got today? That was it different than what a man maybe would have gotten at that time?
I would have to say with Mabel's character that I do believe that she garnered that respect, but I think she earned it. She earned it with how she treated people. She earned it with being this very unique, kind of larger-than-life presence. One of the stories that I love most about her is that she drove her own limousine around town. She had a purple Pierce Arrow, and she had no driver. She drove herself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she would go pick up her friends in Sarasota, and it was just who she was. I love that uniqueness about her. She didn't wait for things to happen. She made things happen. She stepped out, and I just thought that was such a unique, really cool thing to have in a character. I adore her.
How did you come up with the vision for the cover? Is that you, being Mabel?
I wish it was me. We have an incredibly talented team at HarperCollins. I will tell you, the image of Rose is actually Rosamund on the cover, and the image of the girl standing in the ring, that was a photo shoot. So we did a photo shoot. We selected the model, we selected the outfit, and did a photo shoot just for that special character, and then embedded it in this kind of mystified world. You kind of get to peek around the curtain and you say, oh, what's happening there? So you understand that this is more than just a circus book. This is a book that is looking out at your future and at the choices that we all have in this one life that we get, the kind of dream chasing aspect.
Well, when did the book when was it released?
The book will release tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. Oh, so you haven't had much feedback yet, except for like people from us, people like us.
Yes. Yeah, so it releases tomorrow, and actually today on my website, to celebrate that, we have released the cover for my next book, which is The Illusionist's Apprentice. It's a Jazz Age book as well, but it's about vaudeville and Boston and Harry Houdini.
Everybody's going to love this book. But here's a prediction I'm going to make. Everybody's going to love this book, but women are going to relate to it. Mm-hmm. I think you've written a book that is very, very much going to be embraced by women who just love the character Mabel. And let me ask you this, because I wonder, do you have a fan base that is actually expecting this?
I have many reader friends that we have been able to connect with over the past couple of years when my first 2 books came out. And yes, that is what I'm hearing over and over, and I absolutely love hearing that they're connecting with Mabel through the generations, through the decades that are in this book. They're connecting with that kind of spirit, that kind of fire that she has. There's so many friends who will tell me, maybe in life I'm not doing what I think I'm supposed to do, or over here I have this hobby and I really feel called to it. And I say, well, I'm the worst person to ask because I'm a dreamer. And I say, go after it.
Yeah, well, good for you.
And that's what's really special about you, because you look at everything beneath the surface. You love to look at art on the restoration side, also the visual art. And I think that's what you do with your writing as well. You come across where you can be very visual in the way you write the stories.
I remember when we first came into the industry, and I was talking with my publishing family about branding and who did we want me to be as an author. And I said, is there an art history historical writer out there? Because if not, I want to be that girl. I want to be the art history.
Yeah, but I think the strong women thing is going to be something that everybody associates with you. I think that's going to be your calling right there, strong women.
Wait till they read the next book. We have a female illusionist on vaudeville in the 1920s. I'm talking most independent character I've ever written. So wait till they read that one.
Really?
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
That's another thing that fascinates me. I mean, nowadays when you see magic, there's a camera right up against the magician's hand.
Yeah.
But back then you had to be in the audience. I mean, things must have been more grandiose and just bigger in order to entertain an audience. Right?
And yes, we've tried to paint that picture. And one of the things that we really tried to do was focus on these kind of subtle changes with the visuals. So when we're talking about the stage show, we get really into the tricks and the illusions. We never use the word magic because it's illusion and not magic, but we do so heavily on the visuals. So
well,
I can't wait for reading.
Kristy, thank you so much. I really loved this interview. I've got a copy of the book, The Ringmaster's Wife. Call me if you want the copy that was sent to us. We've got 25 seconds. Give us a website so we can buy the book.
Please stop by KristyCambron.com, and all the information's there. You can buy the book, and you can find out what's up for me next.
And Kristy spells her name KRISTYCAMBRON. Go to KristyCambron.com. Thank you, Kristy. That was beautiful. I love that interview.
Thank you very much. I had fun.
We'll be right back.
Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. Hillary Clinton could pick up enough delegates in tomorrow's 6 primaries to clinch the Democratic presidential nomination, but Bernie Sanders claims he'd do better against Donald Trump.
The Vermont senator plans to go to the Democratic convention to make the argument.
We are the strongest campaign to defeat him.
Sanders says Clinton would be wrong to claim she's won the nomination based on a delegate count alone.
Fox Radio's Rachel Sutherland. Friday's memorial service for Muhammad Ali will be based on the Islamic faith, but family spokesman Bob Gunnell says Ali wanted all to feel welcome.
He wanted the memorial service to reflect his life and how he lived, and the fact that, he wanted everyone to be able to attend.
The service will be streamed online. A 2-mile stretch of the Orange County, California shoreline still closed after several shark sightings. A week ago at Corona Del Mar State Beach, a woman was bitten by a shark. Fox News, we report, you decide.